Welcome, everybody, to the ABJ podcast, Truth Behind Illusion, where history, horror, and pop culture get tangled up like a bad Netflix reboot. Before we start, here's your disclaimer. This episode may not be suitable for children, or your boss, or anyone who faints at the mention of blood. We'll be talking death, disease, impalement, seduction, and maybe, just maybe, a little bit of sparkle. You like that? All right. So if you're cool with that, grab your garlic, pour yourself a drink. Hopefully it isn't red. And let's dig into the deep, dark history and everlasting allure of the vampire. Welcome, everybody. We're here. Thank you, Billy Trey, for the Truth Behind Illusion music. You guys are probably like, man, we bought merchandise. We have stuff. It's supposed to be doing all this cool stuff for Truth Behind Illusion. And you recorded last Halloween for Sam Hain, and then you never came back.
For Samhain, yeah, we did.
Samhain. I say Sam Hain.
We had
I don't care.
I know. It was part of the argument.
Yeah.
I believe in the last.
I say what I want. I'm an adult. So we're trying something different. If you notice, the microphones are on us. I'm not going to bore you with all the technical jargon, but I'm trying to find myself. I like this 3-camera setup. It costs more money to do this because then I have to pay programs to help me clip it because I don't have the time to do all of it. But we're giving it a shot. I'm hoping that maybe the microphones are better than the wireless mics. It's a whole thing. If you're better at editing and technology, please hit me up. I need help. I'm trying my best. But like I said, this content discusses historical violence, plague, death, and themes of sexuality and superstition. Listener discretion be advised. No jump scares, I promise. So yeah, we were going to do this episode as episode 2 about a year ago. It never happened. So full disclosure, it is November 1st, the Day of the Dead. We are here on a Saturday, bored, trying to get some stuff done.
In case you're wondering who we is, hi everyone, I'm Lily.
Oh, that's Lily by WitchCraftsByLilly YT, who was on the last episode. But we're gonna kind of record probably a couple here on one night, and then kind of if you're subscribed to the ABJ podcast channel, there is a membership where you see content before everybody else. As the day of this drops, November, there's like 4 or 5 episodes of interviews and movie reviews and stuff like that that's out there right now that you can go watch. So if you watch this now, great. Some of these episodes you may not see for quite some time because I think we're just going to kind of pepper things in here and there. Do have a little bit of a cool announcement. We will have a guest joining us here at the beginning of the new year for Truth Behind Illusion. This won't just be paranormal and spooky and stuff like that. It'll also be true crime. We're going to add a little bit of true crime element to this. And one of my favorite true crime podcasts was my buddy Brian's old podcast. He's no longer willing to do that podcast for reasons of his own, but he wants to continue doing the true crime aspect and possibly even sitting in with us because he's if you think I'm a skeptic, BP's even worse when it comes to this. So there may be some episodes that won't be done with the 3-camera setup because they're done via StreamYard. So it'll be just the shot down the table of us, and it won't be the 3-camera setup, and then BP will probably join us remote. You'll also still see some episodes with StreamYard as well. But if it's just me and you or just solo me, they'll probably be done this way. Or if it's just solo me, it'll probably be done StreamYard as well, just because it's a little easier to clip. But there's going to be a variance. Some episodes will look like this, some will look like that. Please be patient. I'm trying my best here as a content creator. It's just hard to live life, have a 40-hour job.
You're an artist, and don't limit yourself to just one way of doing things. You're trying out different ways and deciding what works best for you and what you like the most. So don't limit yourself to being like, you know what, this worked out well. Like, you want to experiment with those things, experiment with them.
Appreciate
and
that.
Keep trying until you find exactly like I really feel like. Sorry, I'm going to go on a little tangent here, but I do feel like you do kind of stop yourself. You have this little bit of a cycle where you'll try something new and then it maybe doesn't go the way you wanted it to, or you'll hear like one negative feedback and you're like, okay, stop the whole thing, start it over. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but like you're going to figure it out. Like your number one example, 409. Why is it 409? Because they had to get 409 formulas until they found the perfect formula. You're going to get there. Yeah. You'll figure it out.
I think the audio for some of the wireless mics too were not my favorite. So I do like going back to the microphone and the headphones because it kind of gives me more of a podcast vibe as well. So if you guys think the audio sounds better too, please let me know. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of everything that's going on, and let me know what you think when it comes to if you're enjoying more than. I'm trying not to do as much wrestling content and mixing it up because everyone's like, well, I don't listen to it because I don't like wrestling. If if you say that now going forward, I will spit on you. All right? No, I really won't, but because I've been really mixing it up.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into the history of vampires with Lilly from Witchcrafts by Lilly. By the way, go check her out. All her links will be below her link tree. She's doing a lot of cool stuff. Unfortunately, none of us are wearing any Witchcraft by Lilly stuff or really have anything on display. Do you want to light the candles?
There's stuff. It is my heritage, and it is the Day of the Dead. Who are we remembering?
I will say.
Do you have?
Do we each pick a person and then I light it?
If you would like to,
yeah, let's
we could do it that way.
That's how this works, right?
Well, yeah. So we'll get onto that on another podcast episode.
So we are going to be doing an episode based on the movie Coco.
Mm-hmm. But we will be, I think, within that movie, we're going to be talking a lot more of the Day of the Dead traditions.
So if you're a Truth Behind Illusion fan, you want to hear more about that, because I do have that coming up in the topic as well, the history of the Day of the Dead and stuff. We didn't record an episode because it's going to be way past this when it airs, and we don't want to
See, the man's on a time crunch, and we can't get everything done within negative 4 hours. Yeah.
So how does this work? We're going to light a candle. We're going to each pick a person.
Yeah. So usually, I'll give you the little snippet of it. Is usually an ofrenda is an altar, and you would have memorabilia of that person, and like on the Day of the Dead, you light a candle almost like as a vigil of like in remembrance of them, along with their belongings, and maybe like some food that was like their favorite food,
okay,
so
we
that
don't have
they
all
can
that.
sit and eat with us and like have a meal with us type of thing. But yeah, we could just do the remembrance part.
Well, here's
you got a lighter?
I don't. You might have.
All right, I'll pop off screen for a sec.
Yeah. So when we first talked about this, she's like, "Oh, we should pick like people we like," and we immediately went to like Hispanic people, and I don't think I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna.
We went to Hispanic.
Yeah, you're like, you should pick Eddie Guerrero. And I was like, oh, yeah.
I said that's a shirt you could wear today
Got
he
you.
was Mexican.
Got
I didn't.
I was like, do we have to, like, not that I don't want to pick someone because they're Mexican. I think I want to maybe dedicate, well, we're going to dedicate the next couple episodes to some people as we record it, because we are recording on today's date. And then we'll, when you guys watch it back, you'll get the whole gist. But hold on, we're really killing time here for vampires. So I'm gonna go first.
It should be more of like a loved one, like something sentimental.
Yeah. So I'm gonna pick.
I lost my face again. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Well, it's gonna lock onto me anyway because I'm the one talking. So we got these at Walmart for like $2, and they're pretty cool. But I'm gonna pick a friend of mine who passed away, Jesse Price. Jesse was a little bit of like my high school bully, and he was scary, and he was really, really strong and really, really scary. But as we got older and we got out of school, we became friends, and he went from the kid I was terrified to a friend of mine. And it was a funny thing, because he always had a perception that we were friends and close. And I essentially said, like, dude, I was afraid of you. Like, you scared me. You and your friend scared me because you guys were the bullies and you were the strong kids and I was tiny. And it bothered him that he was thought of that way. Right. Yeah, unfortunately we lost him due to, people's demons. But he's no longer with us. So I'm going to light my candle.
You're going to grab those scissors before we start a fire. You always cut down a wick. You're not going to light a 3-inch long wick.
It'll be fine.
All right, crazy.
It'll be fine. We're not going to start a fire. We're sitting right next to it. If it's so it's now, I don't have a chair for you, Jesse, but we'll figure it out. You can hang out with us and join us for an episode. I don't want to get up and do things again. So you could tell us who you're lighting it for.
I'm lighting mine in remembrance of my friend Jeff. He passed away 5 years ago now, which is kind of wild and crazy to think about. But he was a good guy. He worked for a living. He did a lot. And he struggled with mental illness, and eventually that kind of took hold of him.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I don't think he had much family. I know that he did. Are you sorry?
You'll hear a difference now that you're speaking.
No, I understand. But he didn't. I don't recall if I know he wasn't close with his family, so I don't recall if his parents were alive or not. But I know he did leave behind a son. So, yeah, I'm gonna remember him. I'm gonna keep him positively in my thoughts.
Okay. So. Well, I hope they're both into vampires, because they're gonna join us for this episode. Could you imagine like this? Like they get teleported here because we did this ritual.
Jeffrey, if See, I actually could.
And they're super confused of why they're here listening to a podcast about vampires.
Should I go get his stuff and actually bring his?
No, I know, but we've already gotten up and we're fucking.
I could have him
18
come.
minutes into this podcast.
But I could have him come sit with us.
If this doesn't do it, then sorry.
We're good.
We'll try again next episode. All right. Segment 1 that we're going to dive into is going to be the ancient origins and first blood of vampires. So, long before Dracula, humans imagined creatures that fed off life itself. From China, where the dead were rarely content to stay buried, to Mesopotamia, thank you. So this is 2000 to 1000 BC. So this is kind of, are you familiar? I'd never heard of the lore of
like we're
vampires
talking like
from China. This is China. Yeah.
No.
So I'm going to try to pronounce these, but I'm probably going to butcher them. So if you're in the comments, please
be patient.
Be nice with me. But these are some other places. I think this is still from China, but this is weird because or
Mesopotamia.
Yeah. Lama Tishu is a demoness who preyed on mother and infants. So she was like these aren't technically vampires, but they're demonic or some type of entity who feeds on life. So technically the vampire isn't so much of it feeds on blood, and like there's different characteristic of vampires, and we'll kind of get into.
There's energy vampires. Let's talk about
100%.
it. I see them every day.
They feed on life. Yes, and then we have you. You're on this list.
Oh, is it a
Lilith?
Oh,
or Lilithu.
Lilithu.
Yeah. Later seen as Adam's first wife, turned night spirit who seduced men and drank infant blood.
Okay. Yes, but no. But yes. But she was yes. But also that like drinking infant blood is like no. But because she was taking care of infants, the lore is that she is the caretaker of unborn children.
Gotcha. Then we go to Greece and Rome, where they had Empusa, Empusa, is a shape-shifting service heretic, appearing as a beautiful woman until she later reveals to be her monstrous legs.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of these are females. Just putting it out there. You guys were not getting a good rap back then. Yeah.
You know, it's what I'm hearing is a man that was hurt, got his feelings hurt, and said, she's a demon.
Yeah. Lamia and Sturgis are female spirits or witches who feasted on children or blood. Always eating kids. It's weird. India has Vetala, a ghostly being that possesses corpses, mischievous, cruel, and immortal. And then we go, I guess, back to China for Janasang, stiff, hopping vampires that drain Q instead of blood, or QI. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Chi, your chi, QUI. Yeah, so that's
your chi. Got you.
Yeah.
And then priests fought them off with bells and talisman. All right, so. Talismans. Yeah. I don't know. I have my notes, but I'm not very good. I don't know how to speak other cultures. Yeah, we've learned. Okay, I'm stupid.
It's not even just that it's older cultures, but they all have their own dialects and fun ways of saying things.
Yeah. If your culture had a monster feeding off life energy, what do you think that says about their fears? Death, disease, or something deeper?
Como se dice chupacabra?
Chupacabra? Oh yeah, they do. But I think does vampire have to be like humanoid?
I mean, does it?
I think so.
Does it?
I would say.
Why? Because it's a girl?
I would think because I think creatures itself feast on blood, and I think what makes the vampire scarier is it's a humanoid creature who feeds on other humanoids. It has like a cannibalistic thing to it.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. I do think there is, when it comes to like the history of these characters, that they are very depicted as women. I don't think that's a coincidence, and I'm not bashing women. I just think historically how women are viewed, that where they were always deemed as lesser than or not as equal to men, and when women had opinions or wanted to rise up and above, it was like, no, we're gonna put you back down by calling you some type of creature.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, she's a witch.
Yeah. Yeah. In different aspects, sure. Yeah, so the medieval Europe and the age of panic is going to be our next way we go through. So as Christianity spread, so did the fear of the restless dead. The vampire was recognized today, and it took shape in Eastern Europe, the vampire that we know today. I just hit a button and I've lost my spot. So Slavic and Balkan lore, the uproar and Nosferatu, bloated corpses, rosy skin, mouth stained with blood, believed to rise from improper burials or sins unconfessed. So if you weren't buried properly, or if you died with sins,
right,
coming back as a vampire.
You didn't, or maybe if it's like unconfessed, like maybe not confessing to your sins.
Yeah. So using religion to scare people by saying you'll come back as a creature.
Where have I heard that before?
Yeah, that's gaslighting religious things. So ways to prevent this during this time. What do you think they would be?
Wait, during for vampires? Mm-hmm. How to prevent what part of
Preventative methods that you can do to protect yourself from vampires at this time.
I'm gonna guess specific herbs.
Okay.
Maybe drink vervain, right? Like
No.
that's got to be on there.
So
silver. No, what is it? Silver vine?
Not really.
Okay.
So what they would do with the dead is they would either stuff garlic in their mouth.
So actually using garlic back then.
Yes.
Okay. Weird.
The bodies were staked, so they would stake the heart. They would be decapitated, or they'd be buried face down.
Were they decapitated and burned?
No, they would just decapitate it within the body and then put it in the coffin.
But were they buried in separate spots?
No, they would just be decapitated.
Just wondering.
Sticks laid across the neck just in case they sat up, so it would prevent them.
So it was like, oh wow,
Yeah.
ew.
Yeah, so that was some things they did at that time. Now there is a really cool TV show called Lore, and the same people who made the TV show Haunted on Netflix, which is a great watch. And this is when they would essentially say they would dig up bodies, and during the time it was kind of cold and bodies weren't decomposing as fast because they're like, well, she's still perfect and her cheeks are rosy and her body's, they're like, because it's freezing and you just buried a cold body. Like, she's not coming back and killing things. Like, you're essentially taking on the disease because you're bringing up a corpse, and you're probably not, they didn't bathe a lot back then. They didn't have hygiene the same way. They, you know what I mean? So these bodies would essentially give people other sickness, and they died probably of disease and plague, and then blamed the body. And if the body was somehow still killing people, that's why we'll probably get into it with the Nosferatu, but that's why there's that spot of the movie where it's there is disease and rats and plague. And is Nosferatu really a creature in that time, or is he the embodiment of the plague that they're blaming this on because they didn't understand how science and cleanliness worked?
Right.
Yeah. So vampire epidemics in the 1700s. The Arnold Pascal case in Serbia, villagers exhumed corpses reporting blood flowing from the flesh. The Australian military officers recorded these events and added bureaucracy legitimacy to the superstition. So in the 1725 report, when the stake pierced him, blood gushed from the corpse as it screamed as if it was alive. So it could have been a bloated corpse. They stake it. They don't drain the blood like they used to back in the day. Depending on what time and place this body was buried, it didn't your body fills up with gas. It depends on where, how it's the decomposing process. So you're filled with gas and you're filled with everything. So they hit it and it probably released the air. They went, oh my God, we did it. We saved the day. You know what I mean? It's just pretty funny, I think. Fun fact with this, the phrase bloodsucker entered English dictionaries after reports of this went viral across Europe in the 18th century versions and on the ongoing trending. So that's where that came from. And then guess the cure. If you lived back then, would you have believed in vampires, or would you have thought your neighbors were losing it?
I mean, back then,
You're 100% believing it.
I want to believe in it. You know what I mean?
Education is not as good.
I feel like you believe in it because you want to believe in it.
No, I genuinely think fear. We live in today where I can have the entire world in my hand on my phone, and I can.
Well, knowledge,
there's media outlets and everything everywhere, and people are still falling for misinformation and not believing science.
Right.
So I definitely think this could easily people still believe in these vampires and ghosts and demons today.
I just said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would still believe in them.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's, again, if you want to believe in it. If it's something like, do you want to have a reason, or do you want to find a logical reason, or do you just want to have something to blame?
Yeah, totally. So let's get into where I think when people think vampire the most, they think of this man, Vlad the Impaler, of Blood and Iron. Behind every legend lies a real person, and behind Dracula stands Vlad the Third of Wallachia? Am I saying that right? I'm probably not saying that right. I'm just going to skip right past it. Born in 1431, the son of Vlad the Dracul II, Order of the Dragon. Dracula literally means son of the dragon. Named Tapis the Impaler. What do we... Just sorry. Mute the TV.
I'm trying.
Sorry. You're going to get us hit with an infraction here. For his favorite method of execution. So he would impale people. He would take people that either committed crime or he just didn't like, and he would stake them in front of his castle to send a message to his village to be like, hey, don't fuck with me. This is what I do. And sometimes he would stake them through their butt or glutes and through the mouth. And sometimes these people bled out. They didn't die immediately.
Depending on their genitalia.
Yeah.
It wasn't just booty holes, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, they would just go anywhere there. But it was a situation where, these people were still alive for some time afterwards and then either bled out or infection, disease. Do you know what I mean? Like, some people died very slowly with this. You're fine. Just relax. We're gonna make a video. It's gonna be like a 2-hour video, so we don't have to do this anymore. Yeah. Where's I at? His battlefield deterrent: a forest of 20,000 impaled Ottoman soldiers. So he didn't just do this in front of his castle. He would go out to like the battlefields where things. Oh yeah,
this is straight up like during war as well. Like
that is pretty scary as fuck.
I don't know if we have this scheduled yet on TBI, but I do have a Vlad the Impaler like inspired tarot cards, and each one is like a little bit of history. Like, it's actually Vlad the Impaler, not like Dracula. Yeah. But yeah.
So this is another archive that we're quoting here, the Saxon Chronicle of 1463. He impaled men and women alike. And dined among the dying, delighted in their screams. So he was a cruel, sick, disgusting man.
Yeah.
But sometimes nice guys don't really rule for very long. If you're deemed as nice and you're deemed as sometimes a good person, your people uprise against you, and then you're the guy on the stake. So I'm not saying I'm justifying Vlad the Impaler, but when you're a leader, sometimes either power goes to your head or keeping your power goes to your head, and you get very untrustworthy of people, and fear is the best way to remain in power, which is not always the greatest thing, but it's just kind of human nature, which is kind of shitty.
Yeah.
To the Romanians, he was a national hero who defended Europe from the Turks. To everyone else, a walking nightmare. When Bram Stoker discovered the name Dracula centuries later, he fused Vlad's reputation of cruelty and ancient blood myths, and the modern vampire was born. So, hero or monster? What's your take on Vlad? Was he a patriot or psycho?
I mean, you know me. F the patriarchy, but at the same time, like, I think that it was a little bit of both.
Yeah, because war was different back then. There wasn't code. Our honor.
Oh no, absolutely not. It was very much like by any means necessary to stay alive.
What you're a soldier. You're walking towards where you're gonna fight and either take this place over, because we don't know the Turks' motivation of why they were fighting them too. You know what I mean?
Domination and trying to get more land,
resources, or whatever it may be. Yeah. But also, like, they could have attacked first and they're defending. But you walk into this battlefield and there's 20,000 of your people on stakes. That goes two ways. You're either motivated because you're like, yo, that's our people, we have to defend them, or yo, these dudes are
I mean, at that point, you're like, well, shit, they're all dead. It's too late for the ones that are.
But it sends a message to be like, do you really want this fight?
Right.
We're willing. We're gonna put you on. You're gonna be a display next.
Right.
We do not value you whatsoever. There's like when you're going into a fight, when you're going into combat, when you're going into a situation where it's you versus the other person, you almost have to get in your mindset of like, one of us may not walk home today. And that can get you in trouble where you go too far, or it can get you in a situation where you didn't go far enough and then you don't go home that day. You know what I mean? It's when when human emotion gets to a point of violent confrontation, it can get bad very quickly.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's just in our human DNA and men DNA.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So where are we at here?
Toxic masculinity.
Yeah. Vampires are so pretty much the modern vampire is insecurity of women power and thoughts and education and toxic masculinity so far.
I'm sorry, which monster are you talking about?
The vampire.
You could, any monster really, yeah.
Well, I'm just saying in general what we talked about and learned so far.
Sure, yeah. Yeah.
So the rise of the vampire as we know it today. So the vampire entered English literature not as a monster but as a gentleman. John Pollardi, the vampire, where it's that Pyre, yeah, in 1819 was the first English vampire story based on Lord Byron, a suave predatory aristocrat. And then Sheridan Le Fanu Carmilla from 1872 was a lesbian vampire that would haunting young women in gothic sensual taboo breaking methods. So there was another one there. And then Bram Stoker's Dracula in 1897 combined centuries of folklore into one terrifying account. Themes of foreign invasion, sexual repression, and Victorian fear of disease. So that's kind of the one that stuck the most. The John one is still kind of used. I think they made a video game where it was kind of more based on that vampire, where it was like the vampire. I think that's how
it still said vampire. It's kind of like, it's just an old English way of spelling it. Or figure, it's like the Shakespearean way of spelling something.
Yeah. And then Carmilla, I haven't really heard. I've never heard of that one, to be completely honest. Yeah, so that's one we could dive in deeper in the future.
I'm not sure who we are talking about. I mean this so respectfully. Yeah. I'm not sure, like, if I can just see the name. Sheridan Lafayette. So, Le Fanu.
Yeah.
Le Fanu Sheridan.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. So then, this is an archive again coming from Bram Stoker himself. The Count cast no shadow, nor did reflect in the mirror. So that was a little bit of lore he added to it. Yeah, so he was taking the character and then adding his own attributes or what made this creature different from others, or like, which is, I like that in character creation as a pro wrestling fan and art and pop culture. Like when you create a character, you have to almost kind of have that run sheet of like, well, here's his abilities, here's his weaknesses. And some people always forget to do the weaknesses because they want their character to be the biggest, baddest, and strongest. But there's no growth or development in the character or the character that's going after if it just always wins and there's no weakness to it. So I think that shows more intelligence when you create something, but not have the ego to be like, well, my character can't be defeated.
Right.
Or have no weakness. Or I feel like if that's how you create, for example,
kind of egotistical, like
a little bit. So
it's
like
kind of like everybody has to have a weakness.
Yes, and it happens a lot in wrestling. Wrestlers create a wrestling character, sometimes spooky supernatural ones, and their only end game is to make them the better character. And they don't say, well, here's the weakness to my character. That's why the Undertaker works so well, and that's why, not speaking ill of the dead, but Bray Wyatt's characters didn't. Bray Wyatt had to always rise or do something, or he couldn't be, like, you know what I mean? I
believe you. I don't know. I don't really know that much about either one of them as characters, just as like as far as like their character development or anything like that.
So, fun fact: Stoker originally planned to set Dracula in Styria, Austria, but not Transylvania. But until he read about Vlad's castle, so he kind of changed the setting upon learning of Vlad. Nice. And little bit of discussion to talk here for a moment, but do you think vampires become sexy because of literature or because humans can't resist danger, distress in a tuxedo? Like fine dress people.
So here is an actual serious question. What makes you think that if you were to repeat that last bit, I think you kind of make it seem as though the vampires are like sexy because they're wealthy and they're well dressed. And although vampires live a long time, they're not necessarily always sexy as much as they are always appealing. There is still that, so I don't think we've really talked about it yet, but like a glimmer effect.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe they just make you think that they're super sexy.
Yeah.
But also in being alive so long, are you really going to stand out, or are you going to try to like fit in more? Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
So
I think it's a hunting mechanism. If you want to get people,
you're going to get the bigger prey.
You're going to probably be more attractive because you're going to be able to probably get your way. Listen, at the end of the day, if you're an attractive person, you have a little bit of an easier life socially than you do if you look like a pariah or you look not as attractive. It's just, once again, human nature. You can slice the pie however you want. It's just the way the world works. But also, I think creating that element of the character is smart because, once again, it's a hunting technique. But then it's also going back to sexual repression. When disease and plague was run rampant, it was easier for Christianity to take over as well, because it was like, hey, sex, don't do that, because once again, we don't know how to be clean and we don't know how to protect ourselves from stuff like that. So you need to be only with one person. If you're not with one person, don't do it, because that's how you spread disease. And free will and sexual repression and making that a taboo also was a thing with vampires of like, I'm almost like, this is what you want. Like it uses that lore of that repression and scariness and as another element of that character of its time. In my opinion, I just think that's why it kind of works. But then you have characters like Nosferatu, like especially in the new movie, we'll get into a little bit, but like where he was dreadful looking, but he still had some kind of glamour effect.
Right.
You know what I mean? Really weird sex scene with like, yeah, anyway. So vampires on film and in pop culture. So film transformed the vampire from nightmare to icon. So there's been tons of different versions of vampires and how they were adapted, and I'll kind of go through a few of them here, and then maybe we could talk about what's our favorite versions of vampires, and when we think of vampires, what do we think of? And here's the big thing too, and this is when it goes to all pop culture. Just because a style of creature or monster or character is made doesn't mean it can't change or evolve or add different elements. I get that your favorite was that one type, but to dismiss someone else's art because they had a different take on it,
Right.
try it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not always a terrible thing that someone has a...
You know, it's the skin of a killer, damn it. It's the skin of a killer.
Yeah.
Bella.
You might want to put headphones on.
I would if they worked.
They don't work at all.
No. They
Okay.
crapped out on me.
Okay. Nosferatu, a rat-like plague-carrying Count Orlok and the first to die by sunlight. So he's the first vampire that kind of had that weakness of sunlight. Bela Lugosi's accent cape became the gold standard of elegance and menacing from the Dracula in 1931. So, like, I think that's where people really attach. Like, Nosferatu was the ugly, scary, monstrous...
Well, Count Orlok, yeah, he was the one you should be feared, but Dracula he had the charisma to lure you in.
He was like James Bond.
Right.
Yeah. Which is funny because...
Wait a minute, he's attractive, but he couldn't possibly be a monster. He has a castle.
And he has such a beautiful cape and popped collar.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And that widow's peak, girl.
Don't even get me started on those canines. Do you think he gets them professionally whitened?
Hammer lore from 1950s to 70s with Christopher Lee, blood, sensuality, and gothic excess. The Hunger from 1983, sleek bisexual immortality, once again kind of leaning into the sexuality of vampires. Interview with a Vampire, 1976 novel, and 1994 film.
May I just say R.I.P. She only just died in real life, I think, last month.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I did see that, yeah. A tragic anti-hero, immortal yet tortured. And then our generation, well, 90s is still kind of our thing, but this is the one.
90s is my generation. I wasn't born until 91, just throwing that out there.
But I think this one is probably the more... Until like
more
Twilight and stuff, but I think this is the one that really revamped the vampire thing again. But Buffy the Vampire Slayer was
Wait. When did Interview with the Vampire get
94
done?
film.
Okay.
Yeah. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Twilight, True Blood, Blade, and What We Do in the Shadows each redefines vampires from Slayer Foddy to sparkling hot throbs to sitcom roommates.
So you missed one. And I'm not saying that there's a billion that have come out, but the one that like holds true to my heart, which is hilarious in and of itself, a little story time. I used to work in a factory called this little place. What's it called? Amazon. And I had just had 2 kids at the time. And like when you meet people in warehouses, you've worked in warehouses, you know there's hundreds upon hundreds of people, and you could be meeting a new person every day.
Yeah.
So to spend a 12-hour shift with someone and not know anything about them is like
weird.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, let's just tell you my whole life story, and then tomorrow I'm going to do it again with another random stranger. But somebody had asked me like, oh, do you have kids? And I was like, yeah, I have 2 daughters. And they were like, oh, that's cool. What are their names? And I was like, Elena and Catherine. Elena is named after my great-grandmother, which we'll get into back to the Day of the Dead thing. And my daughter Katie is named after my best friend in high school, Katie Knickerbocker. And
Full name. Google her.
Ha. Except for that's not her last name anymore.
Okay.
Boom. Anyway, so somebody was like, oh, you mean like the Vampire Diaries? And I'm like,
oh, yeah.
What is the Vampire Diaries? What are you talking about?
I didn't like that show.
And they were like, Elena and Catherine, they're doppelgangers. And I'm like, what are you talking? So I went home and I watched it, and then I became obsessed with it. And then I was like, well, dang, I didn't mean to do that.
Vampire Diaries
yeah,
was a mix between Twilight and True Blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like a happy little medium in there. It was really cool too. That was me. That was me. But and it had like the like demon hunters and the witches and all of that in between it too.
I'm trying to think of some other ones that we kind of didn't touch on there. Van Helsing was a really big vampire thing.
Underworld, all of the Underworld movies. Come on.
Yeah, Underworld. That's where like the
Kate
whole
Beckinsale.
was Underworld the first
before Twilight,
where the vampires and werewolves collided.
I mean, they were lichens, but if you want to, split hairs,
you kind of had a little rivalry there. Trying to think of some other one of my favorite vampire films. I love Let Me In, where it's the little girl. You have yet to watch it.
Wait, no.
Well, they've done it twice.
Abigail, we just watched.
Well, Abigail was really
dope.
good. It's a heist movie with a vampire.
Yeah.
So sick. That's a Not Cool in High School horror episode that you should go check out. Abigail is a great movie.
My mom's
Fright Night's a good one. The old school one and the new one with Colin Farrell, because he's like a heartthrob as well, and he's the neighbor trying to pick up the guy's mom that he's like a vampire.
Do you remember the little blonde kid from Jerry Maguire?
Yes.
There was a Disney movie that had
the little vampire.
Well, the little vampire. I forgot about that movie where he is a vampire. But there's another movie that he's in where his mom, which I believe is played by one of the aunts from the 90s sitcom Sabrina, is dating a man who is played by Mr. Sheffield from The Nanny, and he is a vampire. Yeah. And it's like mom's got a date with a vampire or something like that.
Yeah, and then vampires are kind of touched into like the Monster High lore. The Wednesday has vampires, correct? Yeah, so the Munsters.
That's what I thought
somehow
you were saying
had
originally.
a vampire son from a werewolf grandfather.
A mummy wife.
Mummy wife and a Frankenstein.
Lily was like a mummy, right?
Yeah, she was the bride of Frankenstein, so she was essentially an animated corpse.
Yeah.
But she made a baby with a grandfather who was, because the grandfather looked like a vampire, but he was
hairy.
Yeah, he was
hairy.
He identified as a werewolf. But I always thought Grandpa was a vampire growing up.
Was Grandpa trans?
He might have been a trans werewolf.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Look at that. Look at us coming up with...
He was a werewolf that identified as a...
No, he was a vampire that identified as a werewolf.
Or either way, yeah.
Oh.
I used to get told Eddie was
Eddie
like
Munster.
my thing. Everyone's like, you look at Eddie Munster because of my giant widow's peak. That stuck with me for a while. But let's get into why vampires endure. So why do vampires don't die? Culturally, at least, they represent fear, disease, death, and outsiders. They represent desire, beauty, and immortality, and they adapt monsters, lore, heroes, or punchlines. And vampires, an emotional mirror. Whatever we fear the most, it becomes. So I think there's just so many creative ways that people have used it and twisted it and adapted it and stayed true to certain lore, but then added its own a little bit here and there too.
Yeah.
So which version of vampire do you think says most about society? The monstrous corpse or the seductive immortal?
So, what do I think speaks most for society? To be honest, it would have to be the sexual one, because that's what we're most like. That I think that's going to be more well known 9 times out of 10 than the monstrous vampire. It's always going to be like, yeah, they're a bad guy, but they're dressed as someone sexy, or they're someone super attractive. And I think that's just socially like how we are like kind of conditioned to believe them to be. But then a movie like Nosferatu comes out, and it's so like, and I think that's kind of exactly why a lot of people were amazed by it, and other people were so disgusted by it, because they were like, "That's not a real vampire."
Yeah, why would
like,
he ever go for that? He's he's really creepy and disgusting. He doesn't look strong. He doesn't look like he could hurt you. He just looks
he looks like a weak old man who's disgusting and crippling and decrepit, but like you could blow over if you just looked at him the wrong way.
But the thing with that is too, where I think
it
just
was supposed to be deceptive.
Yeah, when you're around, as long as the character or creature of a vampire has been around, you have techniques and strategy, and you've acquired wealth and power and knowledge that no one else has.
Absolutely.
And you're more dangerous. You're way more dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I do feel like I think that he kind of had that look to him the way, and as the original Nosferatu did, it was supposed to be like this ugly thing that like kind of, exactly as you said before, it wasn't as big of a popularity thing, or as big, as well known at that time as like Dracula was, because it was the more charismatic side of it.
I like the humanoid versions of it where they do, because the biggest thing in society is outsiders. Like, we're kind of taught to, like, if you're a different race, religion, belief, you're not from around here, you're not from our town, you're not from my family, don't trust you.
Right.
If you're like, stranger danger. And it just spiderwebs further and further out of what your fears are other people. And as a vampire, maybe society has taught you to do that to protect yourself from monsters and creatures. So the vampire has to get more clever on how they can earn your trust to get further in, to do what they can. But then also they have that vulnerability where they have to find a place to hide and sleep and recharge and do what they have to do. So they have to kind of tote that line between, I need to be trusting and be calculated, but also not just go on a murdering spree, because when I go to sleep at night, I'm screwed. They can come get me, and I'm in trouble. You know what I mean? I will say this. I think one of my most recent favorite vampires, or like where they kind of done their own version of the lore, was True Blood. I liked a lot of elements of the vampire of True Blood. I liked how if you're older than another vampire, you're more powerful. And not just in the sense of knowledge, but general strength and speed and agility.
I think that's kind of how they did that with in Underworld as well.
Yeah.
Like the head vampire. And that's kind of how they did with Twilight. Like, realistically, I do kind of think that that's kind of one of the better known tropes.
But True Blood really put it, like, Bill can never beat Eric because
I can't speak on it. I'm sorry.
You never watched it.
I feel like I've seen an episode here and there, but I can't say I've watched it.
Well, I know we're watching tonight. I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm gonna put it on tonight.
Tomorrow.
I'm gonna put it on for you.
No, we're watching.
I know. I'm gonna put it on for you at some point, and you're gonna watch 2 episodes.
Oh, I already know, because
and you're gonna be fucking obsessed.
I already know. Like, I've seen the episode with Lafayette, the burger scene. I've seen that whole episode, and I know I've seen that episode. I feel like I've seen clips, bits and pieces of other episodes.
The way Twilight grabbed you, and how you're saying vampires grabbed you, you have no shot when it comes to Twilight.
Twilight grabbed me because I was 16.
Sure, but I just think you like that lore. I think you're gonna really enjoy it. But also with True Blood as well, I liked how it kind of became like, it almost had an X-Men element where, like, oh no, we're as humans aware of the supernatural, and then it had the idea of like the synthetic blood, almost like fake.
It was supposed to
weed,
be like almost like a drug, right? Like a knockoff drug type thing.
It was a knockoff supplement for vampires, so they can drink that and not humans. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, powers, abilities, and weaknesses. Let's open the vampire playbook and the survival guide. So for yous out there who are listening to this and somehow still are not aware of vampires, we got you. We're going to make sure you're good here. Immortality, timeless beauty, endless hunger. Superhuman strengths and speed, hypnosis, a predator stare, or how we, that kind of goes into another one here. Shape shifting, they can sometimes shape from bats to wolves to mist. Regenerations, wounds heal instantly. Seduction, desire is a weapon for them. It's where they can seduce you or glamour you. Occult powers, storm control, mind reading, and animal command sometimes. A few other ones, another one that I'm thinking here too, and maybe it kind of goes into hypnosis or maybe occult powers, but they can enter dreams. Nosferatu in the newer one was able to enter the mind and almost like telekinesis and speak to you and talk to you.
Did you watch the Twilight movies?
Not fully, no.
Okay, just wondering. Just go on.
Weaknesses, sunlight, fatal since Nosferatu. That's usually the big trope is sunlight. But the movie Daywalkers added a whole element of hybrid vampires that can survive during the daytime.
Couldn't Blade go out in the daytime too?
No.
Okay, sorry. It's been a while since I watched Blade.
Garlic, wards of the Balkan origin. Holy symbols, Christian editions. So crosses and holy water would be like a deterrent. Yeah. Stake to the heart. Folklore's grave pin became a cinematic kill shot. Decapitation and fire. The old world methods still true today when it comes to pop culture. The invitation rule. They cannot enter without being uninvited.
Never invite anyone into your house.
Yeah, I love that element of the vampire, because like even in like movies that you don't really realize you're watching a vampire movie, or the character is a vampire, and they kind of like do that scene where
they
like
kind of just like sit and wait by the door.
Well, yeah, where they kind of stop for a second, and then like the average Joe is like, "That's weird," and then like the people who love that kind of shit are like,
"Oh my god,
you're
it's
fucked."
a vampire.
He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to be polite. Am I allowed to come in?" And you're just like, "Oh yeah, of course, please."
You're like. They asked you specifically for permission to come in. Are you dumb?
I'm gonna start doing that.
Just asking people for permission to come in.
Like, I'm not just gonna follow someone into their house.
You got to do it everywhere you go.
Yeah.
You got to go to like the bar and be like, "Where's the owner? Can
that's
you have
too
the
much.
Owner come outside
That's
really
too
quick?
much.
If it's at least someone you know,
Does it have to be the owner of the
funny.
house, or just anyone who's
it's
inside the doll cell who can invite you inside of it?
Well, in the Vampire Diaries, it's whoever has the deed to the house specifically, because like somebody died and then it went over to somebody else, so it was like a start over. Like somebody died and then like they went to go back to that house and they couldn't go past the doorway again because they had to wait until the next person gave them permission to go back in.
So vampires paranormal block is legal documentation.
It's ownership. I
don't like that. I think if you're inside,
it also might have had something to do with like vampire to a witch or something like that. I think
that's a terrible rule for that show.
Territory is always a thing though too.
Yeah. Mirrors, no reflection, no soul. So mirrors can be not so a weakness, but a way to identify.
Right.
Yeah. Isn't there a thing with photographs?
Right, like they don't have a reflection.
Yeah. Fun fact, in the Slavic myths, scattering rice seeds forced vampires to count each grain before attacking. The proto-ADHD defense mechanism.
Hold on.
I have heard that before.
I didn't hear a single thing you just said because I'm sorry. I'm going to have you. I'm so sorry.
Jesus Christ.
But you asked about the camera thing, and it just made me think the original cameras had an actual mirror in them. Mm-hmm. To reflect back.
It's been recently where they got rid of mirrorless cameras.
Right.
Yeah.
So would you be able to catch I
don't think so.
A vampire on a digital camera?
A digital camera, maybe.
Oh,
yeah.
They're getting
so what I was saying is in
on.
Slavic myths, scattering rice seeds forced vampires to count. Like they had to stop and count them. They had
they had OCD.
They had like ADHD, Rain Man, autism. You know what I mean? There's like fuck rice.
Oh, maybe because they have like super sensitive hearing. I'm gonna go on a tangent.
I don't know why I had to count it though. There's 655. Now
because they heard every single little thing drop, and they were like hypersensitive.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember seeing that in a movie. I forget what movie used that.
So actually, I was thinking of this movie. It's so obscure. It was it's an Oriental movie. I don't recall, but it was a woman who's blind and she's like an assassin.
Gotcha.
And they like are using a bean and they're flicking it off of drums. If anyone knows what movie I'm talking about, go in the comments and write it.
Yeah.
Because that one's wild too.
So the science behind the myths in our 8th segment here. Not all vampires come from superstition. Some are from science gone wrong. Porophilia, a rare disorder that causes sunlight sensitivity, pale skin, and red urine, mistaken for vampirism. Or rabies also can be very misleading to vampires because it causes aggression, biting, aversion to light, and hypersensitivity to smells like garlic.
Interesting.
Yeah. They also are premature burials. In early medical eras, sometimes people were led to be buried alive. When exhumed, they looked like they were fresh and bloody, where people went into coma, or people had a slowed heart rate because they had a strong fever or disease, and they were buried because they
were thought to be
dead. And then they fucking wake up and they're screaming inside their casket, or things are going on, and then they re-exhume them and they're like, why is there nail scratches in here?
Right. But also, like, why are you re-exhuming them?
I don't know. That was a weird thing they did back in the day.
Right?
I still think in
Do
modern...
you think it was because they didn't have enough space?
Probably.
Where they were like, okay, well, this guy died, but this one's already been in there for 6 months. He's decomposed. YOLO, let's take it out. Just put the new one in there.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you think these explanations kill the magic, or do they make the vampire even creepier and notice brooded in reality?
I think that each part of it kind of makes it more realistic. Like... Not more realistic, but almost like giving more of a reasoning to why people believe them to be more real.
Yeah. So our ninth segment here, the modern subculture and the vampire legacy. So the vampire didn't just survive until the 21st century, it reinvented itself. Goth and industrial scenes from the 1980s to 2000s, fashion, makeup, and nightlife have really taken people like, oh, you look like a vampire, like the gothic look. Vampire role playing
tattooed on your face, and do such a thing.
Yeah, vampire role playing and fandoms. Vampire masquerades, games built in communities where fans live the fantasy. Like I guess vampire role playing video games. I've never personally played one, but I can see it being a thing. Real life. Santa Guardian? Oh, what's that word?
Where are we at?
Right here. I don't know how
Sanguinarians.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, people who, well, sangre is Latin for blood. So
people who identify. Oh, I just hit a button again. Sorry. People who identify as modern vampires often part of tight consent based subcultures. I did watch this. I watched a documentary about this where people legit
go to stores and get like cow blood and do like
they will go.
Because I've seen that one on My Strange Addiction.
These people will have like almost like lifestyle, like the lifestyle where it is very sexual based, and they go and they partake in sexual encounters and stuff. But there's also an element of they cut and they drink each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they identify as vampires and do that.
Right.
Yeah, so that's a thing.
Yeah, I thought. Well, so there was another. There was. I think it was on that TLC show, My Strange Addiction, but there was something like that where they did it on like 3 different people at the same time, and one of them was like in kind of like a culty type of thing, and one person was just like, no, this is just my life. All my friends think I'm weird, but this is who I am. And then the third person was one as you were just talking about.
No judgment.
No.
There's people who dress up as dogs.
Listen,
whatever you want to do, live your life.
I am not going to yuck anyone's yum, but I'm going to tell you it ain't yucky for me, and it is not yummy for me, or whatever.
I don't think I could drink someone's blood.
I have.
Someone else's?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's happened.
I like the taste of my own blood. I don't think I could drink somebody else's.
I will say that it was done in a ceremonial. It wasn't like, oh, well, I'm really feeling it right now, so let me just cut you open and drink your blood. It was during a pagan ceremony. Got you.
Maybe we should do a whole topic on paganism more.
I would love that.
Okay. Social media and style. Vampire aesthetics dominate TikTok. Fangs, dark glam, and eternal youth vibes. We have a friend who rocks vampire fangs.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was with him actually the other day. We went to Spirit, and I was like, bro, they had gold ones, and I was like, he wasn't gonna get them.
Yeah.
But I did help him pick out a new top hat that was like lacy and fun, that like was still giving very vampire vibes.
Yeah, I don't know if he's drinking people's blood, but I think he's into the aesthetic.
Aesthetic is
Loves trains too.
Yes.
That's a callback to another episode. From folklore to fandom, the vampire has gone from being feared to being followed. Is the vampire a monster now or a lifestyle brand?
I think it's both. I feel like kind of like what you were saying, like as far as like the goth aesthetic goes, I feel like the goth aesthetic in general, if you're going with a more Victorian goth aesthetic, it goes hand in hand with a vampire. Like when you look at vampire, if you go to Spirit Halloween and you go to specifically to the vampire section, because they have a section for that, almost all of the costumes reek of the Victorian era clothing.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is our bonus segment here, and then we're going to close out. But some recommendations. So if you guys want to check out some films, here's some ones I have listed. You can say which ones if I missed any. But Nosferatu, Dracula, The Hunger, Interview with a Vampire, Let the Right One In, and What We Do in the Shadows. I would also throw in Let Me In there. True Blood up until like a certain season where you could probably skip because I think it gets a little too crazy. Blade. Maybe a little spoiler alert. There might be some Blade movie reviews coming up soon. A friend of mine wants to do the Blade movies. Blade's getting his own video game as well.
Isn't well, he was just in the
Deadpool movie.
Deadpool, right? Yeah. Deadpool and Wolverine movie.
Any other ones that you like, vampire ones?
Yes, I can't believe we didn't say it. I don't think you've watched them. Adam Sandler was a vampire in 3 movies. Oh, yeah. Hotel Transylvania is one of my kids' favorites.
Dusk Till Dawn, another one I forgot.
I feel like there was another one I was going to say.
Selma Hayek.
Did you say, you said What We Do in the Shadows?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which turned into a movie with Johnny Depp.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. Interview with the Vampire, the original movie with Kirsten Dunst and everything, I think was well done. But I very well done. It was one of my favorites. However, what I will say is that they redid it as a TV show. And they redid the cast, and in the original movie, a large portion of it takes place in New Orleans, and they recast it with people of color in it. And I honestly think that the way that they did it, also because Christine, the little girl that they turn into a vampire, Louis ends up having like a connection with, and a love, almost makes a love interest out of.
I think vampires
and that
look
was also,
cooler when they're black. Is that weird to say?
And it was also just really weird that in the original movie she was like 7.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? Like, yeah, she was like, she had been with him for 50 years before that love interest started, but she was still played by like a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
And I think that when it was redone, it was done as more of like a teenager, almost young adult. And I think that it was well done to be redone. I think that it honestly is a very hard to say which one I like more, because there are so many more elements in the newer version that I like that overtook what was in the original. But there were aspects in the original that I think that like, well, you can never rewatch something for a first time. Do you know what I mean? And those elements that hit when I was younger, like I'll never have that emotion with that again.
Yeah. And what I was saying before,
but I'm sorry. I just wanted to finish that thought. But I do feel what you're saying though.
It's also a thing though where it was a dominant like white character, and then once they started putting like, oh, you can do the New Orleans version, or you could do like different aspects of vampires and people of color or Spanish, so like Dusk Till Dawn, where it was all pretty much Mexican culture. Like, I think it's kind of cool because it kind of breaks that barrier that like these characters aren't identified by their race. They could be. In
the last 2 Twilight movies, they kind of have to do this. They have, without a spoiler alert, they have to kind of bring different clans of vampires together, and they have ones coming from Ireland that are wearing the kilts and everything, and then they have ones that are like from the Sahara, and they have ones that are from like the rainforest and wearing like animal skins and stuff. That's like sick. That. Like, it's sickening. It is. Yeah. It's beautiful. I love it.
And then what was that? I bumped it again. Oh, books. Sorry. Dracula. Carmilla, that the female one, has her own book. Anne Rice, Vampire Chronicles,
which is the Interview with the Vampire, is one of the Vampire Chronicles.
Stephen King, Salem's Lot, and Guillermo del Toro's The Strain are ones that people talk about. Video games, Castlevania, Vampire, the Masquerade, Blood Rain, Elden Ring Morgue storyline, where there's a whole storyline there, and then some TV shows to check out: Buffy the Vampire Slayer, True Blood, Being Human, and What We Do in the Shadows. All some recommendations. So before I get into closing, I want you to plug your business. We don't physically have one anymore.
Can I just throw one more TV
Absolutely,
show
please.
really quick? So I know we did kind of talk into a little bit of the Vampire Diaries, but they did a spin-off of that. Was it the original? The originals, yeah, which was off of the original 5 vampires, and it was its own spin-off, but I think that in and of itself was a great thing to watch too, because it kind of does go back and forth between like a modern version and like, let's go back to when we were doing everything with bales of hay and like all of that. And I think that's a really cool thing to watch too.
And I think every TV show, even if it's not rooted in vampire shows like the entire time, like every long running show always is like, all right, well, this episode we're going to throw like, even if it's done in a comedy sense, like where the characters think this person's a vampire or this person's a ghost, or
Right.
like there's like different paranormal episodes like The Simpsons, Bob's Burgers,
Right.
where like this guy a vampire, you know what I mean?
Right.
And those are always fun too.
where
when they
they're
kind
like,
of
okay, well, I definitely didn't see his reflection.
yeah, 100%.
Right.
So that's always there too. But you have made some vampire-ish crafting. You made a Nosferatu
And I
that you can check out on Lily's Instagram.
Charles
But if
has
you
that,
want to
yeah.
get your own vampire little crocheted plushie, hit her up. She can make you one and send it to you. Anything, you
I
probably
will
make a few
show-
different things.
I'll show we'll link it in there, whatever, in my Instagram. I'll throw it up on a story or something so you guys can see it. But the little Nosferatu I made, it's probably about the size of a Funko Pop. But I have the pattern for it. I can remake it same size. But I recently found out that I can take any pattern that I have and use whatever size hook I want and make it however big I want. Use the same pattern, just use more yarn. And so I can make a Nosferatu that's this big with that pattern, which is what it originally showed. I could get an even smaller one and make like a keychain sized one if I wanted to be crazy. Or I could make a giant sized one. So
yeah, hit her up. So, in closing, from ancient demons to aristocrat seducers, from plagues to pop culture, vampires have mirrored our fears, fantasies, and flaws for over 5,000 years. They changed the shape countless times, but one thing is eternal: our obsession with them. This has been the ABJ podcast, Truth Behind Illusion. Back for the second, I guess, episode on the rebrand with myself and Lily, reminding you to always stay curious, stay spooky, and always check your neck before bed. We'll talk to you guys next time. We're out of here.